Well, thanks for joining us again, folks, here on the Shell Busey HouseSmart Coffee Break. Today we have a topic that I know that you'll be very interested in it, and what it is about home inspections. Now, home inspections go further than just a home, because a home is a home is a home is a home. It could be an apartment, it could be a strata condo, it could be a cottage, it could be a trailer even when it comes down. His name is Daniel Fedosenko. And I'm only going to use his last name once. It's Daniel from this point on. But in any event, his company name is Mr. Home Inspector. And he's been with our HouseSmart Home Services now for many years. Daniel, Mr. Home Inspector, how did you ever come up with that name? That's unnatural.
Well, when I was researching naming my company from basically Daniel Fedosenko,
nobody could pronounce it.
I thought of, all the other Mr. companies out there. I'm like, that'd be a perfect fit, Mr. Home Inspector. So I researched online, and nobody in British Columbia had the name. And then I submitted my 3 names into the government for approval. And it's a little bit of a kerfuffle, but I managed to get the company branded as M.R. Home Inspector, because my legal name is actually not Mr. Home Inspector. So it's legally it's as I just mentioned, but I market it as Mr. Home Inspector.
Well, it's a lot of things like that today, and they become very, very formal. They become very, very restrictive sometimes. But having that branded name, Mr. Home Inspector, really works well with our consumer. When they phone or they go into our website and they want an inspector and they see Mr. Home Inspector, really makes for an interesting tie-in to the industry. Tell me, where has home inspection changed over the last, let's say, 10 years?
Well, over the last 10 years, it's become a much more regulated industry, and there's a lot more people coming into the industry. And with that, they've really brought up the educational requirements, the need for licensing and insurance.
Is that everywhere, or is that just in British Columbia?
Primarily at this point, it's in British Columbia.
Which is a doggone good item, folks. They must be certified and licensed in British Columbia. Means a big, big, a big hole to fill, because not everybody was doing that.
Yes, that's correct.
So what do you find that when you do go out to a home today? In fact, we find here, it's not unusual for me to take a phone call, and they'll say, Shell, I'm phoning your home services for a home inspector because we're closing on, say, Saturday. Well, that's, a couple of days possibly sometimes. What do you do?
Well, that's right. Well, you want to be able to have a good team of good inspectors that you have available for those last-minute closes, because as one person, there's only so much you can do. So, yeah, you got to have a good team available.
Well, you could be the no-show or the no-go when it comes to a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, today, young people that are first-time home buyers, and believe you me, I have run into it where they have bought a home, and in the subjects, no inspection required.
Yeah.
And boy, I'll tell you, they're opening up a big door where a lot of horses can run out.
Yeah, that's correct. I've seen it many times. People buying a place without any home inspection, put the offer in without any subjects, and they move in and they have problems that they would have been able to deal with ahead of time with the negotiation process.
Well, one of the things that I've found that being in the home service referral, we do everything from footings of the home right up to the rooftop, and that's what you inspect, in essence, really are all those ingredients that may cause, somewhere down the line, money.
Yep, all your major systems and components for the home.
And you get down into the ground, I'll tell you, drainage, for example, one of the most expensive. I mean, some of these young people buying a home, they're taking a mortgage, obviously, in some cases, and both of them are strapped right out to pay that mortgage, and all of a sudden up comes a roof or a footing that's cracked, and drainage could be anywhere up to $50,000.
Yep, that's for sure. You want to be able to arm them with as much information as possible so they can make an informed decision with the purchase of the property, and we're looking for all the signs and symptoms to properly inform them.
How many people do you have working for you?
Currently, right now, there's 4 people on the team.
So 4 people on the team, that covers a lot of real estate. And one of the interesting things that, and I'm going to say it, which I always have on my radio program, so it's no secret, that folks, when it comes, when in doubt, don't pout, let Shell help you out. That's why we have people like Daniel, who is certified licensed in the home inspection business. But when it comes right down to the program being offered by the home inspector, make sure that they are licensed.
Yes.
What are some of the other insurable, Assurant items that they should be aware of?
Well, nowadays with the systems available and the technologies available, you really should be able to produce a nice report on site with pictures, so they're very clear, concise, easy to understand, a report that you can get around to a number of parties, so it makes the process very easy for any negotiations and understand.
So you got a whole lot of tools that you obviously have that are inspector oriented.
Yes, we do. We do.
And one of the tools that I was just making reference to that I didn't mention, and that was, where do you get your referrals from? And you know, there's a lot of referrals out there today being given by people that should not be referring, because referrals that are in favor of or associated with or in, I use the term cahoots, that you want to make sure that it's coming from a reliable source, and that's what we call ourselves, a reliable source, Shell Busey's HouseSmart Home Services. But a realtor who is selling, not all realtors, I'm not tagging everything with the same brush here, but I can tell you one thing, that there's a bit of a conflict there in some cases. So it's one thing that you got to be very careful of when it comes to where the referrals come from. But what is the average site visit time-wise?
To do a proper and thorough inspection using our systems and technologies, it takes about 3 to 3.5 hours.
Do you normally like the potential buyer with you and the seller?
In a perfect world, yes. We do give the opportunity for them to attend the complete inspection with us or come for the last half hour, depending on their schedule.
So do you find that the seller, the realtor, and the potential buyer, in some cases, all there during?
In some cases, yes. I would say about 20% of the time. That's what.
Does it work better that way?
It can, but it can complicate the process, because the more people you have distracting you and taking you off topic, then you're more apt to miss things.
Do you get ever involved in the actual decision making? Like, do you ever get required question being asked by the potential buyer or by the sales person? Are they using your talent to either be in favor or against? It really becomes one of those scenarios out there. Like, for example, I'll be very honest with you folks. If I was buying a home today, even with my abilities and my experience in the residential housing industry, I would still have Daniel go to my home to do the job, because it's that one thing that you could overlook.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's something that you would run into from time to time?
Yes. Yeah, we definitely run into it.
What are some of the unique items about home inspection? Well, some people might say, oh, God, that's a boring job. It can't be boring.
It's actually quite fun. I really enjoy it. It's always different places, different people, different problems. Yeah. So it keeps it quite interesting.
Do you prefer furniture out or furniture in?
Well, it's definitely a lot easier with the furniture out.
Yeah.
If it's in, which is generally the case, it does make it harder, and there are a little more limitations, which can limit the inspection. So you have to pay closer attention in areas.
But that's where your equipment comes in.
Yeah.
You've got equipment that can see behind ceramic tiles, see behind carpeted floors and vinyl floors and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have a couple different tools. Infrared camera, which helps us to spot any hidden water leaks or active water leaks, which you can't see yet with the naked eye. And the moisture meter in those areas, like tiles, where you can't judge a book by its cover. where you have to use that to determine if there's moisture in behind the tiles or the lino.
Right. Now, do you, when you're dealing with most new homes, do you find people still use your services for new homes?
For that particular type of buyer that is very particular, they do get a inspection on a brand new house, because that's the time to get it checked and get all those little problems fixed, or even something bigger fixed ahead of time, like not proper soffit ventilation in the attic, or flashing issues. So there are a small percentage that do that, and again, the people that have bought a new home without the inspection, they quite often wish they would have did it in before.
Well, that is one very good point that you brought up, because that's the time that within that first 12 months, 1 year, that it becomes the quality assurance of the builder. Like, we'll get calls, for an example, saying that we have a new home and we have this information now at hand. It wasn't on the home inspection, but on the other hand, it's come up within the first year. Well, you can now go to the contractor who has given you that first year, and then you're into the home warranty. But the home warranty, it almost has to be structurally involved if there's going to be any rebuild or reconstruction.
Yeah, it's got to be quite substantial to really get any kind of coverage.
Right. Do you find that a difficult scenario out there?
Yes, I hear that quite often from homeowners that run into home warranty issues.
So what about backup? What about insurance? It must be something that you have to really be on your toes at all times to make sure that you do report everything. And I've seen some of your reports, which are phenomenal. I mean, you cover everything.
Yeah, we do have to do a very thorough job. We are human, and to be human is to err. We're not perfect, but we do work really hard, do a rigorous inspection, and at the same time, if there is a problem, we do have insurance, and there is recourse available.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you that when it comes to home inspections, folks, as I indicated in the beginning, condos, apartments, townhouses, single detached homes, right to the point of even modular homes, anything that is considered shelter or residence should be inspected. Now, what are some of the other unique areas that you've been called upon? I know that recently you were called upon out to check a particular installation of cabinetry, for an example.
Yeah, quite often people have these small problems. They want a third party to come in, give independent advice, and we give solutions to the issues at hand. In the situation recently, it was a doctor's office. They had somebody install some cabinets for them, and one of the cabinets fell off the wall, right where a lady was working on a computer. Fortunately, nobody was injured, but again, it wasn't installed properly, quite clearly, after I looked at it. And I was able to give them proper recommendations and examine the other cabinets while I was there and put an action plan in place.
And that action plan included Busey's HouseSmart Home Services to have it done properly, and those are the things that we're very, very proud of, having people like Daniel that really needs no introduction when it comes to the type of inspections that has to be done. And we've relied on you, and you've been there to do all of it for the buyer, for the seller. And one last thing I'd like to cover with you is, what is your feelings about pre-sell inspections by the owner of the home?
Yeah, the pre-listing inspections, we do promote those. Basically, we go do the same inspection that a buyer's inspector would do. And the idea is to really give the seller an opportunity to know their home. Know if there's any major problems, put everything into perspective, and give them peace of mind so that when they get a accepted offer, they know that the home is going to be sold, and they're not going to be surprised with any nasty things in the home that they're not aware of.
Right, and they got an opportunity to repair or change whatever has to be done.
Exactly.
And so it does save a lot of time.
It does. Saves a lot of time, and it saves a lot of money.
I know it's one of those things when you buy a house today and you're looking at that potential first-time home buy, and you think, well, gosh, there's the inspection right there. I don't even have to have that inspected, so therefore I can reduce my involvement there by home inspection because this is current.
It's quite helpful, yes.
Some of the things I've heard you mention here about your tools, and just in closing, I hear thermal cameras, different moisture identifiers or indicators. Are those really used by all home inspectors?
No, not all home inspectors use the same tools. We like to go over and above the call of duty, the bare minimum. We want to reduce the liability of the buyers as much as possible. We use an infrared camera, which helps to alleviate any water issues or find any hidden water problems, which is your #1 insurance claim for homeowners. We also like to use the moisture detectors in those wet areas, bathrooms, showers, all those types of things.
Right.
And then we're quite unique in the sense that we run and test all the appliances. Quite often appliances
Ice maker
don't work. All those little details which can make your moving in day a little bit, unhappy. So we do that. And also, we're the only home inspection company that has free technical support as long as you live in the home. So 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we'll come back to the home for free. If you have a problem, we'll give you free advice and give you solutions to the issues at hand.
It's just that easy. Well, Daniel, I'd like to say thank you very much again for making yourself available, for coming in and telling us the story about home inspection. And folks, you can take it from me, this is an interview of a certified home inspector. Daniel, his company's name is Mr. Home Inspector, very much part of our Shellbuzzy HouseSmart Home Services. So anytime, go to our website, it's right there on the screen, HouseSmart Home Services. Don't forget the one term, Shellbuzzy. Phone number 604-542-2236 or the website askshell.com. It's just that easy. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, sir.
You betcha.